How y'all doing, everybody? This is Ray of RebelEars.com with another episode of the Rebel Ears podcast, where we discuss everything with audio engineering and refusing to sound ordinary. So let's go ahead and dive into the world of compression. But before we get into the technical details, let's explore how compression can relate to mental decompression in a creative way. Understanding compression. If you heard from the past episodes of the podcast, compression is like the secret sauce of audio engineering. It takes the tools that help us to control the dynamics of the audio, making the quieter parts louder and the loud parts quieter. But how does it really work? Compression is essentially a volume control that automatically adjusts to the levels of audio signals. It helps to tame the peaks, making the audio more consistent and easier to listen. When it's mixing, it's critical for achieving a balanced and polished sound. So now that we understand the basics, let's go in deeper to the components of compression. The first one you got is threshold. This determines the level at which compression kicks in. Think of it as a gatekeeper that decides whether to apply compression to your audio. Setting the threshold too low can result in overcompression, while setting it too high might have the effects that you not want at all. Now we got number 2, ratio. The ratio controls the amount of compression applied once the signal exceeds the threshold. It's like deciding how aggressively you want to compress your audio. A lower ratio, such as 2:1, will gently squeeze the dynamics, while a higher ratio, like 8:1, will provide more intense compression. Number 3, we got attack and release. These two settings determine how quickly the compression reacts to the changes in volume and how long it takes to release its grip. The attack time determines how fast the compression kicks in after the signal exceeds its threshold, while the release time dictates how quickly the compressor lets go. Adjusting these settings can have a significant impact on your character and feel of your audio. Number 4, input, output, makeup gain. Input determines the level of audio signals entering the compressor. Output determines the level of the compressed signal leaving the compressor, and makeup gain allows you to boost your overall output level to compensate for the reduction in the dynamic range caused by the compression. So we just discussed the basic components of a compressor. Now let's shift gears and explore how compression can be a metaphor to mental decompression in the creative content. Just like how compression smooths out the peaks and valleys in audio, creative mental decompression can help smooth out the highs and lows in our minds, mentally. It's about finding balance and harmony amidst chaos. Embracing the principles of compression in our creative process means setting boundaries and priorities. Just as we set thresholds and ratios in our compression, we can establish limits and goals in our creative endeavors. By giving ourselves permission to experiment and make mistakes, we can release the pressure of trying to be perfect and allowing our creativity to flow freely. Beyond the studio, it's essential to find ways to decompress from the stress of life, whether it's through meditation, exercising, spending time in nature, or pursuing hobbies. Finding activities that bring you joy and relaxation can help restore balance and clarity in your mind. So let's go ahead and wrap up with some practical tips for using compression in your mixes and in your creative life. Experiment with different threshold and ratio settings to find the right balance in your audio. Start with conservative settings and gradually increase the compression until you achieve the desired effect. Don't be afraid to use compression creatively. Think outside the box and explore unconventional techniques to shape your dynamics in your audio. Whether it's using sidechain compression to create pumping effects or parallel compression to add thickness and depth, let your imagination be your guide. Just remember that in compression, moderation is key. You want to avoid over-compressing your audio, and this can lead to a loss of dynamics and a lifeless sound. It'll sound too thin, no one really wants to listen to it. You want to make sure you trust your ears and use compression to enhance, not to distract from the natural dynamics of your audio. So the next time you're doing a session, think about how compression and decompression goes hand in hand. Sometimes you're in a session, you're working with an artist, and you got everything down packed, and then there's just something on your mind that you can't just escape. Sometimes you just need to walk away for a minute. Think about that the next time you have a session. Or it could be something outside of doing a session in itself. It could be being at home with your family. It could be, like I said earlier, walking in nature, spending some time outside of what's distracting you from getting your goals accomplished. Sometimes, like I said, you need to decompress. So before you watch our next episode or our next video, please make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel or our podcast. Hit the like button if you like this episode. Leave a comment because you never know. Your next comment might be our next episode. And hit the notification button so the next episode we release, you're already the first to know. So from everybody at Rebel Ears, just want to tell everybody thank you for listening and watching. Keep tuning in.